Welcome to No Flipping Excuses with Jason Lucchesi. Jason Lucchesi was the guy voted least likely to succeed by his high school peers. Today, Jason's a real estate flipping ninja Jedi Knight assassin who's taken his drive, street smarts, and never give up attitude and converted them into a real estate flipping business and freedom-based lifestyle. Here to share the truth about flipping houses, finding sellers, delivering buyers, real estate investing without the reality show hype, and all-around general business badassery. Your host, Krav Maga enthusiast, husband, and father of three, Jason Lucchesi.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Lucchesi, and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses show. I am so excited that you are here with us right here, right now. I've got a really good special guest with us here today. This is somebody that's not, somebody that's in real estate, but he's in so many different things right now. I wanted to get somebody else on here, somebody that's successful, somebody that could help you out, especially from like a mindset standpoint, and something to help you out from like a motivation and inspiration standpoint, because this guy's done some really amazing stuff in his life. And I wanted to bring somebody on here that's different, somebody that's not a real estate investor, that it's not their full-time gig. They've got some other things going on. And if you don't know him, his name's Corey Jackson. And believe it or not, I know I do a ton of stuff on LinkedIn. I saw this gentleman on LinkedIn. We were connected with each other, and he had a really cool video that came out. It was about his kids, and I resonated with it well because I've got kids too. So without further ado, Corey, how are you doing, my man?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic, Jason. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I saw your video, and then I looked a little bit more into you, man, and I just thought, wow, I'm connected with this guy, and we have not spoken over the phone. So I was like, man, we've got to do something. We've got to get some things moving. So for folks that don't know you, Corey, kind of give folks a little bit of a background on you. I know a little bit from checking you out on Wikipedia and stuff, and but tell some folks like a little bit about you.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing is most people know me from being in the NFL. I'm a former NFL athlete. Played for two teams: Denver Broncos, Cleveland Browns. But I grew up in a small town in South Carolina. Didn't get recruited by any colleges. A matter of fact, had a lot of trouble academically, just getting out of school. And so my guidance counselor suggested that I go and do something other than college, right? And so I went and got a job at Walmart, right? And just started working and started my life. And so that's kind of how, my life got started, just kind of in a direction that someone else suggested it should go in.
Yeah.
And I had to fight to get out of that situation. But that's pretty much the beginning part of Corey and what happened with him, and then I figured a way to get out of it.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So you start off, here you are, and I had the same issues. I barely graduated high school. Like I tell people that now, but I was so scared when it happened. I literally had to pass every single class my second semester in order to graduate. And I remember that last like 3 weeks before school ended, my guidance counselor came up to me and was like, well, Jason, we're not sure if you're going to graduate with your class or not. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, my mom and dad are going to kill me. And I had no idea what to do. My guidance counselors didn't even tell me or give me any suggestions what to do after school. So at least you had a recommendation. But man, tell me about this. So you're here. You are a young kid, 18-ish, and you're graduating, and your guidance counselor tells you college may not be for you. So you end up going to Walmart to work. Now, before people know about this, weren't you like you'd never even played football in high school, right? You were mainly basketball, right?
I was a basketball player. So that was the thing too. So I was a basketball player, one of the best basketball players in my area. And so I was expecting to get a scholarship offer to go play basketball somewhere. And to be honest with you, like, I wasn't a big fan of going to college. I mean, that wasn't something that thrilled me, but I knew that was part of the path, right, to get to where I was trying to go, which was the NBA at the time. And so I knew that I wasn't good enough right then to go to the NBA right out of high school. So I knew I needed some college to kind of help me get there. And so that was just kind of college out of necessity, right? But then the guys said, that's not going to work,
Man, that's crazy. So what happens, you get this job at Walmart. And I know you and I talked on the phone, but you've got to have some sort of a mindset shift to go from working at Walmart to getting yourself eventually to the National Football League, man. Like that's like, I tell folks that's a very rare thing to become a professional athlete at that high of a level. So what made the shift happen for you?
Well, you know what, Jason, like, sometimes in life we forget who we are, right? And so at a very young age, I had an identity, right? And so my identity was kind of really shaped into a couple different things. It came from, one, my father, right, who I saw as a small child. He was working at this cotton mill, and he used to work at this cotton mill, and he would do these 16-hour days, and he would come home like dripping sweat. It don't matter what season of the year it is. It's 120-degree temperature in this place all the time. I'm a little kid. I see my dad coming home soaking wet every day, right? 16. And then one day, he just had enough, right? He just knew that wasn't the path. He wasn't making any money. He had 5 kids, a wife. And so he quit. And he didn't just quit, like he just like abruptly quit, right?
Yeah.
And my dad, just a quick story on him, didn't graduate high school, obviously don't know college, right?
Yeah.
And one day he quit the job, and one day he was passing this building, and he had this idea that he could put his business in there. And he went to the landlord with no money, right? No experience. And after maybe an hour of conversation, walked away with the keys to the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was a talker.
Yeah. And so he just like talked his way into this building with no experience, right?
Nice.
And so he started this car wash, and I tell people all the time, like, he didn't become wealthy and we didn't make tons and tons of money, but what he gave us was a mindset.
Oh yeah.
And that mindset was, I'm going to control my own destiny each and every time. If I'm going to win, I'm going to win with me. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with me every single time, right? Oh, yeah. And so he gave us that mindset, and that was a part of my identity. And so when I was 5 years old, I knew I was going to be a professional athlete, right? It was in my mind. And then, but skip ahead, when I got to that guidance counselor office and he said, hey, that's not happening, I forgot who I was. I forgot what my identity was, what was in my DNA. I forgot that and so I worked at this Walmart for like a whole year. And you know what happened in that whole year? Chaos. Like, I went crazy. I was doing things that was out of character. I was, taking unnecessary risks in the streets and like just doing crazy stuff because I was so unhappy. But on top of that, I lost who I was. Yeah. Right. And so when you lose your identity, then you have to take on other forms of identity. Right. And so I started taking on these different forms of identity that was not me, Yeah. And in that year, I did that for a year. And so, anything from, close to getting shot, going to jail, like just all kind of just destructive behavior, right? Flipped my car 7 times, just a lot of things just happening over and over. And this all happened like in a 12-month span, Wow. So my life just went insane for a minute.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, so here you are, you're a young buck, you're 19, you had a year under your belt at Walmart, you had all these crazy things happening to you. And, it's kind of like you're going, like you said, you're going through a destructive phase. And lots of folks get like that, especially young kids that get out of high school and they're in positions like you and I were, where we didn't really have the guidance. And my parents were working so much. It was just like, I didn't know about getting student loans. I didn't know like what to do after high school. I had no idea. I went to get a job at GNC. Thankfully I didn't have the path that, I wouldn't say, I think we both went about life in deconstructive ways for sure. After high school, we just went about it in different ways. I didn't have bullets, thankfully, going past me or anything like that. But man, this is really good. So here you are 1 year at Walmart. You have all this crazy deconstructive stuff going on that's completely out of character for you. What happens then? What happens?
Yeah, just okay. So what happened was for me, just by chance, right? So I was off from work one day, and I had a best friend. I used to hang out with my best friend all the time, or I was going to hang out with my girlfriend. So I'm never alone.
Yeah.
I'm never alone. And so when you're unhappy, a lot of times you don't want to be alone. You want to, have people that can distract you from this unhappiness.
Yeah.
Well, this day I'm alone and I can't, my girlfriend was busy doing whatever she was doing. And my friend, I couldn't get a hold of him. And so I'm by myself and I have this moment of clarity, right? Like this moment, like this is not you.
Yeah.
Like this is a little subtle thing. Like this is not you. You know who you are, right? And so that moment led to me getting in my car, driving to Walmart and quitting.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Well, I've seen it before.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, this movie has played before, right? So I saw it. And so I knew about a college called Ranger College out in Texas.
Yeah.
So I drive to the bus station and I tell the lady at the bus station I want a bus ticket to Ranger College. Now, I haven't been to this college before, don't know anybody at this college, but I'm going to this college, right?
Yeah.
And so she says, okay. And she tells me how much the round trip ticket is, and I can't pay for it because I don't have enough money.
Okay.
And so I said, well, how much is the one way? And I have just enough money to buy this one way. Jumped on the bus.
Okay.
Right? Jumped on the bus, took off, right? And 2-day bus trip. I'm from South Carolina. Never been out of South Carolina a day in my life, right? On this bus, 2-day bus trip, I'm scared out of my mind. I'm terrified, right? I'm 19 years old. I don't have any money. I'm away from my family. I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't applied for the school, haven't enrolled in the school, don't even know if I'm going to get into school. And the coaches don't have any idea who I am.
Right.
Right. So that's my situation.
And you were thinking basketball at this point too, right?
Yeah. And so I was thinking basketball. I hadn't played organized basketball in over a year, right? So let's just put all that out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's my challenge, right? And so, but I have this thing that I tell people, right? Like the minute you said you want to do something, a mountain appears, right? Yeah. And so this giant mountain appears. And when we see the mountain, we typically get afraid of it because we think the mountain is going to do harm to us or it's going to destroy us in some way. But really the mountain is really there just to challenge us, right?
Right.
Like just say, okay, Corey, do you really want what you say you want?
Right.
Like that's why the mountain appears, right? Just to make sure you want that, right? And so I have all these challenges in front of me. So I go 2 days, hop off the bus at the bus station, call the school, ask to speak to the basketball coach.
Yeah.
Guy comes on the phone and start talking, right? I'm like, my dad, my name is Corey Jackson. I play basketball. I want to play basketball for you. I'm 6'7". I'm telling him how, telling him all this stuff, right? And the guy says, well, listen, I'm gonna need you to have he don't even know I'm at the bus station. He said, I'm gonna need you to have coaches and to send me some stats and some video to see if I even want to recruit you. I said, well, I can't do that. I'm at the bus station. I need a ride, right?
Yeah.
And, sure enough, man, the guy came, he picked me up, and we're riding in the car, and I remember having this sense of relief, right? Like, wow, like he picked me up. And then he started, right? Like he says, hey, listen, I don't know what you're gonna do. He said, school has already started. You haven't applied for school. You haven't enrolled in the school. I don't even know if you can get into school, right? He said, and furthermore, even if you can get into school, I have 25 guys on my basketball team. I don't need any more basketball players.
Oh, wow.
Even if I did need a basketball player, I don't have any scholarships, so I don't know what you're going to do, right?
Oh, no.
And so here I am, right? Like I'm in this dilemma. I'm in this situation where this guy's telling me no, right? He can't help me. He takes me to the mission office, drop me off, all right? I get in there. They're trying to help me get into school. They finally say, well, listen, we think we can get you in. You know, how are you going to pay for this, all this stuff, right? And I'm like, I think I got an idea, right? And so when I walked out the missions office, the gymnasium was about 100 yards to the right. Like I could see it,
Yeah.
right? So I just started walking in that direction. I walked up to the gymnasium and the doors were open. And so I can hear the guys in there playing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting down watching them play. The coach comes up and says, hey, the guys just playing pickup, you know, next game if you want to play, feel free, go in. True story. I walk on the court. We start playing. I dunk on 3 guys.
Uh-oh.
They fall to the ground. I was swinging on the rim. I come down. The coach is literally running onto the court. And he says, everybody stop. Nobody moves. He said, listen, I don't know why you're here and why you came here, but I'm glad you're here.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to, you know. And that was it. I was in school. I was in college, you know. And from there, it's just momentum, right? Like I just kept working hard. And I stayed at that school for 2 years. Was literally one of only 2 athletes to graduate that played on that team.
Wow.
Right? And started with 26 players.
Wow.
Which was crazy. Graduated, got a scholarship to the University of Nevada, was a starting power forward for them, was one of the top power forwards in the country. Was one of the top rebounders, over 11 rebounds a game. Just had a fantastic basketball career, you know.
Yeah.
And once again, I want the NBA, right? This is my goal is to go to the NBA. I didn't get drafted, so I ended up coming back to school to finish my degree, and one of the football coaches showed up.
Uh-huh.
And the guy was like, hey, man, I think you're a fantastic basketball player, but I think you really should be playing football. He said, you have, you get 5 years of college eligibility. He said, you play forward basketball, you got 5th year. Play any sports you like,
That's awesome.
I played football that semester, and that spring I was signing with the Cleveland Browns.
Wow. That is crazy. So one of the things, and for listeners that are on, one of the things is backing up a little bit with Corey here is when he was on that bus ride and he was talking about the mountain, climbing up the mountain is where you get super, super uncomfortable. And most people don't like that uncomfortable feeling, but Corey stuck with it and kept climbing the mountain. And it was awesome. This story is so cool. So it led to you having all this stuff just by making the call, the coach coming to picking you up, dropping you off at admissions, and then you dunking on 3 guys, and he just seeing like, whoa, I've got a talent here. I don't know why this kid from South Carolina just came to Texas, but man, I want him on my team. And
well, Jason, I'll tell you this, man, like, so being, hundreds of miles away from home with no money, and then you don't know where you're going to sleep or what you're going to eat, definitely will make you jump high as possible to try to impress the coach, right? So I pretty much had no alternative. I either had to impress this guy, or I had nowhere to go. I would have been homeless, right?
Yep. Hustle always like you're broke. Hustle always like you're broke. That's what we always say. Even if you got the money, you still got to hustle like you're broke, or else you're going to lose that fire in the belly. And that's what you had. You had that mentality, that fire in the belly. You had to hustle in order to get where you wanted to go. And then you end up going to Nevada, which is a great, it's a D1 school, right?
Yeah. So I went to Nevada in Reno. And so at the time, we were in the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC. Now they're in the Mountain West. But yeah, we're Division I. And so that was something that people always said that I would never be able to do, is to play Division I sports. And so I said, I'll do you one better, and I'll go pro.
Who told you that you couldn't play Division One?
Oh man, so I got it from from coaches. I got it from just family members, like people that just I'm from a small town, very small area. Went to a 1A high school, very small high school. So it wasn't a lot of things that we get that happen to us is not out of malice or like people want to hurt us. They're trying to protect us, right? Like because we have these big dreams and these big ambitions, and so when people say, well, maybe you're not gonna go, NAIA might be where you're gonna go, or you're not, they're not doing it to like hurt me. They're not doing it to make me feel like I can't achieve. They're just trying to be what they call realistic, right? And so it's up to us to decide what's realistic. Like Jason, you can't tell me what's realistic, right? Like that's a personal thing for me, right?
Absolutely.
But a lot of times will try to tell you, right? Like, oh, I don't think that's realistic. Cool. You don't think that's realistic, but that doesn't apply to me.
Right.
Your thought doesn't apply to me. And a lot of times we let that control us.
That is so true, my man. I've had so many people tell me stuff too that I couldn't do, and then I go and do it. It's just like, remember when they told Roger Bannister that no one would ever be able to run a 4-minute mile, and then all of a sudden he runs it, and then weeks later people are starting to get under 4-minute miles, and it's all about what people fill your head with. I had tons of family members that say, I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. And I agree with you. They don't do it out of malice. They don't try and hurt you. They're just trying to give you what they feel is their realistic perception. Because a lot of them, they didn't do it, so they feel like you're not going to be able to do it. So I love that you brought that up. So let's talk about this, man. You play your fifth year of eligibility. You get drafted by the Cleveland Browns. What's going through your head at that moment? Like, hey, I just got drafted by the National Football League. Like, what's going through your head?
Honestly, the main thing I was thinking about was how I almost missed it, to be honest with you. And that made me make a promise to myself, that I will never, ever, ever, ever forget who I am. I will never let that happen again. I will never lose my identity.
Yep.
I will always remember who I am.
Sure.
And it made me go into that place to make sure that I can protect my future, right? Like, because if not, it could happen again, right? And I can fall down that slippery slope, and I can end up in a place that I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Which happens over and over again to a lot of people. So that is what went through my mind at first, right? And then from there, I got hungrier. I knew that there was more, right? Like, and I wanted more. I just didn't want to be a professional athlete. I just didn't want to be, a guy known for sports. I wanted to go past that. I wanted to be in, business, and I wanted to show people that I could be a great entrepreneur, and a lot of things that I learned from my dad, I wanted to apply and show the world like what I really had to offer, even from a creative space, even as a speaker, right? As someone who shows up and speak to companies and organizations, I wanted to be able to make sure that I set myself apart, and I wanted to just do things at the highest level possible in other areas of my life.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad that you bring that up, because a lot of the athletes, and you and I spoke on the phone about this, where, I've had to do short sales for athletes just because they don't have the mindset that you just described and talked about. Is they set themselves up for failure right away. And I think this happens with a lot of the organizations that these young kids get drafted into. Nobody talks to them about finances. They go out right away. They buy the fancy car. They buy the mom houses. They buy themselves a big house. But at the end of the day, most NFL or even NBA, whatever, professional sports you're in, I think the average span is like 3.5 to 4.5 years. It's not very long. And most of us live to 72 to 75 years. So that's just a small little, blimp on the radar of, what you're going to do for just that short period of time. So I like what you've done here, and you've set yourself up for focus in a way to where a life outside of professional sports. So let's talk about that, man. What is Corey doing today? Like, what, I know you said you do some you talk with companies, organizations. What are you talking to them about?
Yeah. So I share stories like what I just shared with you, right? It's really about being able to give people a message that's going to allow them to improve
Yeah.
and be better, and also apply it to themselves, their authentic self, right? Like, not try to be like Corey or be like Jason, but really the message is to like allow you to be yourself with the best self you can possibly be.
Yep.
And so I like to share, my experiences, my stories, and then also my insights on, how do you get to the place that you want to be in life, whether that's in business or whether that's in your personal life. And so when companies bring me in, they know that they're going to get, a real authentic message. It's not going to be the status quo. It's not going to be, a lot of cliches and, the same things that you hear all the time. It's going to be real stories that really happen, that resonates with real people.
Yeah.
Like you spoke about, what people like, the short window that athletes have, and you talk about having money and then losing money. I think money is just an example of what's going on, right? Like, you give me a few $1 million, I'm 20 years old, I'm probably going to spend a lot of it, right? Right. But that's not the real problem, right? The real problem is like how you see yourself and what you're becoming, right? And so if I only see myself as an athlete, right, and I have some money and I lose it, right, I'm going to go into this deep depression because that's my only chance. That was it. I blew it. My only chance to have success at life, and I blew it.
Yeah.
And that's not the truth. That's not real, right? And so you ask me, like, what I have going on and what am I doing? Well, we created a private app for professional athletes. And what it does is it allows athletes to be able to connect with each other and being able to share their ideas and wisdom with each other, but also connect to companies and brands that they want to work with, so that they can create their own lines of communication and understanding of what they want to do moving forward with their futures and how they want to enter into the marketplace outside of sports.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to your level of confidence to be able to have these type of relationships and to be able to do the things that you really want to do. And that there's actually more that I can provide, more value that I can give outside of my athletic ability, which we know is going to diminish at some point. And so it's our tagline says, right, there's more, and that's our tagline. And so we like to kind of keep shining the light on that. And I think that, making myself the prime example that there's more, right? Like, every time we hit that mountain or we see those mountains, we have to know like there's more beyond that, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely more beyond that. And so that's what I put a lot of my effort and time into. Work with a lot of different athletes. I have young athletes that are rookies in the league and guys that are going into the league. And I like to make sure that we do a great job with them, just showing them that there's more. And then also from a mentor standpoint, just giving them things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I love that, because most of the time the agents that they get signed up with, they may or may not have the best intentions for them. I never was a professional athlete. I'm not going to know as much about that as you do, but just knowing that side and knowing some of the guys in that field, it's just sometimes athletes are just viewed as dollar signs. And I like to view people more as, friends. And I view them as humans and how we can, be more, connected together. And I really support what you're doing with these young men. And, I really applaud you for doing that, man. That's helping them out and setting them up for a future, because let's face it, unless you're like the top, like what I would say 5%, you're to get into broadcasting after your career's over, and to get the type of money like Peyton Manning type money, or who's some of the top guys today like that are making just gargantuan money, like unless you're getting those types of contracts and those deals to set yourself up for a very long period of time, most of the time you're still getting a really great salary for just for being either a rookie or a veteran on the team. But most of the times guys don't know what to do afterwards. So I really applaud you for getting involved and letting them know that there is life after your professional career, which is awesome, because there is another professional career, and so many more people can do what you're doing, Corey, and model it and start helping more people. I think we need to get out of the scarcity mindset of not helping enough. We need to get in the mindset of we need to help more. And I think once you create that mindset, it just sets you apart, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I think athletes are much smarter than they used to be.
For sure.
And they have different types of opportunities than what was available in the past, right? And so I think from that standpoint, just helping them understand that we hear a lot about transition, right? Transition. And when I'm talking to current athletes, I feel like that word kind of has a negative connotation to it. Like it's kind of like I'm leaving something that I love and I have to go to something that, something else. And so I like to think of it in terms of evolution, right? Like how do you evolve into the next thing, right? Like how do you evolve past where you are? Because evolution suggests that now you're getting better, right? You're growing. And so like the idea is like, how do you grow out of this space? Because you can't stay in this space, right? Like you can't stay in this cocoon, right? Like you have to get out of it. Like what's the best way to do that? And so, excuse me, that's the focus, right? Like evolution, like let's evolve. And then we start planting these seeds, and then we start having these ideas, and then we start creating these communications. And then the next thing you know, the guy's evolving at a rate that makes sense. And then by the time they retire, the God forbid, their career get cut short, they're in a good place to where they can now sustain themselves and actually grow past where they were.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And, I'm sure maybe the message might be the same to everybody else, but I want to ask you this. What do you think? Like we have folks that are brand new. Maybe they're in the position that your dad was in, but they're not in the position to where they can they don't have the confidence in themselves to just quit their position, their job. We get a lot of folks like in their late 30s, early 40s, even in their early 50s that say, hey, I need to do something here with my life, but they don't have the confidence. What would you tell them as far as like a mindset to get around that obstacle?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I think once people realize that like whatever that obstacle is, it can't hurt them. Like I think it makes it a little easier. I think it's always going to be the anxiety of actually attacking it and doing it. But the mountain itself, whatever those things are, they're not attacking you, right? Like it's your job to attack them.
Yeah.
They're just posing as this huge shadow in front of you, like, oh my God, it's so big, but it can't do anything to you. Right. And I think like the idea is once you understand that a lot of these things can't do anything to you, they can't hurt you. In fact, it's more painful not to do it.
Right.
You have to live with that forever.
Ooh, I like that.
Like if you do it, even if it doesn't work, you just go through it right then. And then you go to the next thing, which now it fulfills that last void. Otherwise, you live with it forever.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And you want to live with regret forever, because that like is just one of the most painful things to live with.
Yeah. Corey, man, this has been an amazing podcast episode. I'm sure our listeners are getting a ton of value out of it. Man, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way that they can find out about you and, connect with you, man?
Yeah, I mean, like, so people that are looking for a speaker per se, and they're looking for someone to come in and speak at the organization, and they can connect with me at bookcoreyj@gmail. If you are really interested in what we're doing with the athletes, the company is called Quirks. You can go to quirks.com, which is QWERKZ.com, and you can see how we're working with the athletes. And also, if you have companies that want to work with athletes, this is the way that you connect with them through us.
Nice.
So those are the best ways to connect with us. And any of you guys out there that's on LinkedIn, definitely check me out and connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, Corey's doing videos all the time on there, and they're good videos. I just checked out your one that you had yesterday. That was a good video. So, any parting words for our listeners, Corey, on what we just discussed? It was a awesome episode, man. Your story is great. I'm glad everything has worked out for you, and I know for a fact it's going to continue to go upwards for you, man. With what you've got going on right now, I don't see anything stopping you, especially with what you've gone through, man. You know, nothing's going to be able to stop you. And normally when people get stopped, it's because of they can't get out of their own way. So I know great things are going to be continuing to happen for you. But is there any parting words for our listeners, my man?
Yeah, I mean, listen, keep attacking those mountains. You know, that's where the success is. And you guys know this better than I do. There's no flipping excuses.
I love that, man. You had to give us a plug there. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode with Corey, man, this was a great episode. I got a ton out of it. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment below on this episode if you're listening to it on iTunes. If you're listening to it on YouTube, make sure you leave us a comment below. This has been a great episode. So I believe we deserved a 5-star review from you. If not, Corey's going to come and tackle you. He's got some big guns, so he's going to come and tackle you if you don't get that 5-star review. But other than that, I really appreciate you. If you need anything whatsoever, reach out to us at support@jasonluchesi.com. And our phone number is 317-900-1307. Other than that, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you on the next episode, my friend. Take care. Bye now.
Thanks for listening. For show notes and links to anything discussed on today's program, visit noflippingexcuses.com. If you'd like to call the show, dial 317-900-1307, 24/7. Leave a message with your first name and where you're calling from, and include your question, comment, or concern. Who knows? You might end up on the air with Jason Lucchesi. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. The links are posted at noflippingexcuses.com. Remember, you can close more deals now, make your own rules, and design and live an amazing life without having some jerk-off boss tell you what to do. Share noflippingexcuses.com with like-minded people you know who are ready for badassery, crushing it in real estate, and enjoying freedom to whatever you like, whenever you like it.